Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, everyone. This is Chrism, and I'd like to welcome you to this edition of our radio program about your Kundalini awakening experiences. We've been doing this show since December 12th, 2012. And first of all, I want to say thanks to Santara Kundalini for sponsoring this program and allowing it to be there. And many thanks to her. I get a lot of messages from people that say they've listened to the radio show. They either start finding the videos or they find the radio show, or they find one or the other, and it leads them to both, and then leads them to other areas on the web where this information is being presented. So many thanks to you, Santara Kundalini, and many thanks to the chat room, the people that we see there. And don't be surprised if Blog Talk Radio bumps you off. It's an imperfect technology. And so don't get miffed or irritated at it. This show is being recorded, so whatever you missed, you can go back and listen to if you wish. So let's go ahead and get right into this right now. Oh, I should say that I have Lasha with me, and I have Inara with me, and I have Ishta with me right now. And these are the fellow mortal consciousness that I have around me much of the time, but they tend to make noise sometimes. So if you hear a meowing or a barking or something like that, I'll try to quiet them down. But nothing is wrong. Everything's fine with it. I may have to move into another area because of it, because the barking and Inara can really be loud. Here we go. Redemption. We are here to achieve many different levels and frequencies of redemption. Redemption comes in all sorts of ways, and there is never a time that is not appropriate for a redemption to be achieved. And by achieve, I mean through an action or a series of actions or thoughts or a series of thoughts that are behind that action, and the emotions behind the activities are opened towards balance, open towards the karmic understanding of balance, and that paying a debt is barely even scratches the surface of what we're talking about here with regards to Kundalini redemption. Redemption is an extremely, extraordinarily important topic because it is an action that is based upon the teachings that a Kundalini gives a person as they come into the activated sequences. As you come into the activation, even that birth into the activation is often accompanied by extreme levels of karma coming to the individual, extreme levels of opportunities of redemption, either through suffering, which is often the case, suffering or stances that are beautiful and helpful to you, as in, positive karma, or, mostly it's the negative karma that will come to us and be leached from our bodies, be leached from the 5 bodies of human expression, the emotional expression, the psychological expression, the physical expression, the mental expression, all 5 bodies. I don't know if I said 5 there. It's the physical, the emotional, the mental, the psychological, and the spiritual expressions. Ishta is biting my hand right now and breaking my thought process. Bad dog. Okay. Anyway, So as you come into the activation sequences, you'll have, very possibly you'll have some very extreme experiences accompanying that, painful experiences that require levels of healing to be experienced by virtue of the difficulty of the karmic balancing that's occurring. You may get into an automobile accident. You may get into a situation where you're sequestered, as we've spoken about so many times on this program. Sequestration meaning, in the way that I'm using it, an isolation of yourself away from the sociological world of your society. I don't care what society it is. It can be the society in China, the society in India, the society in Amsterdam, the society in Dublin, the society in London, the society in Paris. It doesn't matter. It can be the society in Washington, New York, Miami, Los Angeles, Portland, Seattle, Kansas City, Chicago. These places have their own egregoric miasmas of consciousness, i.e., the reason why I'm going city by city is because these cities reflect a conglomeration of humanity, and based upon such a huge thing, based upon the land itself. So, for instance, we'll use Chicago. So the Chicago land is bordered by the Great Lakes. And the Great Lakes have a certain energetic frequency. The land surrounding the Great Lakes has a specific energetic frequency. The weather adds into that harmony and that, shall we call it, a tapestry. The weather is a thread in that tapestry. The lake itself is a thread in that tapestry. The land, the trees, the animals are all individual threads within the tapestry of what we're calling Chicago. The people and what they do there are part of that thread that is the tapestry of Chicago. Not only what they do, but what they have done there. You see, the people that have passed on, let's just say, people did some things in the 1930s. I'll be specific. Al Capone, let's just use Al Capone. Al Capone and his friends and the business associates did some things in Chicago in the 1930s that caused a specific kind of thread to be woven in to the tapestry that is Chicago. But it's not just, you don't have to be famous or anything for negative or positive reasons. The housewife married to the milkman who's delivering his bottles of milk day in, day out for most of his life to provide an income for himself, his wife, and his children, they're also part of that tapestry. Anybody and everybody that was living there in 1930s is part of the tapestry. And it doesn't have to be 1930s, 1940s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 2000, 2010, 11, 12, and so on. Is part of that redemptive karma of Chicago. And you can apply this to anywhere. You can apply it to London, San Francisco, even the smaller areas like where I live right now in Santa Rosa, California. It has its own karma. It has its own egregoric miasma of redemption. Okay. No, you're not going to go after that. Talking to Ishta here. So as you live in these specific areas, not only are you partaking of that redemptive pattern, but you're also bringing your own redemptive pattern into that tapestry. And the interweaving, how you relate to that society, that egregoric miasma, I think I should explain that term. Egregore is and is a word that represents combined human creative thought patterns that are expressed as an individual entity. So if you got 10 people thinking the same thing about anything, and they think about it strongly enough, they create like an entity that supports what it is they're thinking very strongly about. This is called an egregore. You can look that up. It's spelled E-G-R-E-G-O-R-E, egregore. And this is actually a very prevalent spiritual expression from people in large populations. And miasma. Now, miasma is an energetic frequency that would surround, say, Santa Rosa here. The people of Santa Rosa do a certain thing in order to make money. Here, it's a big wine area, bunch of alkies, A lot of wine going on, a lot of WHINE going on too, but I won't go there. And so it's big on the agricultural, it's big on viticulture, it's big in it's a very democratic area, not Republican, but fairly strong Democratic, political wise. And so those things that I just mentioned create a specific frequency that meshes together and forms a miasma. And people, you can feel that miasma as you come into it. It's like, for instance, as I went to my friend Charles's property and camped out in the trees and whatnot. And when I came back, or actually when I went through these little towns, and each town has its own specific miasma, frequency miasma. Some people may call it a personality. And I went through Oroville, and I went through Marysville, and I went through Yuba City, and I went through Meridian, and I went through all these little towns in northern central California. And you feel the miasma of each one as you pass through. And you can also speak to the egregore of that city as you pass through them as well, or at least feel it. And so this understanding and this egregoric interaction is also part of you and your Kundalini and what that Kundalini has in store for you. And most of the time at the beginning stages, and actually beginning of the activation frequencies and the beginning of the awakening frequencies, there's levels of redemption that must occur. It's not linear the way people would think of it, say like the Hindu or the Rishi, understandings. It's not, you do this for a little while, then you do that for a little while, and you do this for a little while, then you do that for a little while. Redemption also corresponds within temporal expression. So the time in your life. So for instance, if in a past life you did a certain thing at a certain age, well, that redemption is going to come to you when you reach a certain thing in this life at a specific age in this life, with a certain amount of knowledge, certain amount of understanding of what is right, what is wrong, what is appropriate, what is inappropriate, this type of thing. And so redemption is constantly occurring for us within the Kundalini. It's not something that just stops because you have a spinal sweep. Spinal sweep being the energies of Kundalini sweeping up the spine and exiting through the fontanelle in a showering of divine consciousness within and outside the individual. And I'm certainly not taking away from the qualities of the spinal sweep or the activation. But I am saying that redemption is a constantly occurring feature of the Kundalini. And this is something that you really want to begin to look at and be okay with. The challenges that we face here in this world, this is a classroom for redemption. This is a classroom for beginning to engage the divine firmament, the the divine land that we are. And by doing that, and as we continue to be pushed and to be merged into the heavenly firmament, more redemption is required, more of a balancing, more of a purification, more of a level of detoxification, spiritual detoxification is occurring. And so this will go on and on and on and on and on throughout the physical existence, partly based upon the karma, but also partly based upon what the agenda of divinity has for each individual person that is coming into this. And if you look at how many thoughts you've had since you became consciously aware of yourself, thoughts about your mom and your dad, thoughts about your brothers and your sisters, thoughts about animals and creation, thoughts about plants, thoughts about other people, thoughts about spiritual things, mental things, emotional things. If you look at how many thoughts you've had, and one of the things the Bible states, the Christian Bible states, is if you think of it in your mind, then you're still committing the sin. If you think of it in your mind, then you're still committing a sin. So, Joe Public is walking down the street and he looks at a bank and he goes, "Oh God, if I robbed that bank, I could have so much money, my life would be so much easier." And he's just committed the sin. As we think, so do we act within a certain level of frequency within the physical and the heavenly expressions. And so if you look at how many thoughts you've had and how many, fantasies you've had in the uncontrolled environment of society and within the uncontrolled environment of your wants and desires and attachments to wants and desires and willing to do anything to achieve those wants and desires, there's plenty of opportunity for redemptive thinking. We know we've made mistakes in the past. We know we've thought in incorrect ways, incorrect according to Kundalini. We have acted in ways that are, say, detrimental to self and to other people. And, even the smallest little thing, the yelling or the shrieking or the name calling or the hurt, the implied hurt, or, all the way up to physical altercations to physical abuse and emotional abuse, things of this nature. We have all done. We've forgiven ourselves for it. Yes, of course, this is good. This is what we must do. But we also, there's a crucible of reversal quality there that needs to be looked at. We need to be able to forgive ourselves and other people for the thoughts and actions that they have done against us. But it's not just the highlights. It's not just the trailer, the movie trailer, of what's occurred. We have to do it within ourselves too, and we have to accept it. And that is also part of the redemptive process. If you harbored ill will to someone because your level of evolution was not up to speed yet, and you allowed yourself to have that expression, which is part of the classroom. I'm not being condemnative here. Part of being in the classroom is being allowed to express these things. But the other part that is also part of the classroom is being allowed to redeem yourself, from the shackles that these thought patterns and actions and feelings, would bring upon you. And this is also part of the Kundalini narrative. This is part of its narrative of your life as you feel the Kundalini and as she comes into you and she merges with you, and you start reading about, say, oneness, and you start coming into an ideology of oneness, and And with your Kundalini, you're allowed to feel at one with every particle of creation everywhere. Okay, and this is far different from the oneness that people proclaim that they are and that they feel, and we are one. That type of cartoon oneness that a lot of people basically use as an excuse to not responsibility for their actions. Oh, we're just talking about one person here, and we all robbed the bank. Or we were all Charles Manson, cutting open Sharon Tate's pregnant body and, drawing things on the walls in her blood. That was everybody. Hello. That was all of us. We're just there, one person. Jesus. It's just, that's a narcissistic, easy way out. And I don't buy it, and I don't suggest anybody else buys it either. I'm talking about the oneness that truly is oneness. I'm talking about the oneness of grace and how we are allowed to feel intricately and intimately part of all of it, all that is, everywhere. No, the mind won't be able to comprehend it, not at all. But the feelings are there. The mental mind is just not to be able to figure it out or to conceptualize what I'm talking about. It's something that is felt, and it's known through that feeling, that scattered feeling of being part of everything. And it's not as common as people like to make it either. And it's and this is also part of that redemptive quality where, as we, within the Kundalini, and within the people that are awakening to the Kundalini, as we awaken to that Kundalini, we begin to really understand what it is to be at one, and we really begin to understand the truth of that statement, not the lie or the fantasy or the wishful thinking or the oversimplification or the lack of responsibility of that statement, but the truth of that statement. We are the tapestry of creation, all creation. We become that, and we are allowed to be that way for a certain amount of time, that fits the agenda of the Kundalini of the grace within us. And it's not the same for everybody. It's just not. I mean, one person may need to be in there for like 3 seconds, which may feel like 3 years. Another person will need to be there for like 3 weeks or 3 months, and they'll be constantly, submerged in grace and transformed by that submergence. Whereas the person that's in it for 3 seconds is also submerged. It's just a very different linear time does not equal quantification of divinity. So if a person has had the Kundalini before, they would not need to be, say, drowned in the divine fountain, so to speak. They would only need a very short time, and it all comes back. And then sometimes, of course, depending on a person's redemptions, they need to be in there longer and stronger. And we tend to compete, these areas. We tend to, oh, God, she was in ecstasy for 3 weeks. Oh, geez, my gosh, I was in ecstasy for, I think, maybe 3 minutes. Oh, boy, she must be really, really powerful. No. No. It does not work that way. Everybody has a very, very different level of grace and agenda that grace has for them, and there is no way to compete one against the other. And the whole idea of competition is another level of greater or lesser that needs to be challenged within the redemptive state of being. You cannot even begin to guess that Kundalini, or the divine consciousness, is going to create competitions between itself, as itself is expressed through the people that it is awakened or activated within. It's just not going to happen that way. People need to shy away from that. They need to shy away from that. You know, I got to say, Centaur Kundalini, I really enjoy these capital letters you're using for the callers. That's really nice. Thank you. Thank you. It makes it easy to see. Okay, so there will come a time when a very specific instance will come to you that you know you have to correct. The way you treated an individual, the way you treated yourself, maybe you tried to commit suicide, something like that. The way you treated a parent, the way you treated a job, the way you responded to, an emergency situation, or the way that whatever the dynamic is, this is going to come to you for conscious redemption. And I know that you know what I'm talking about, because I know that most of you are within the Kundalini here, and I know you know that because this has already been happening to you. The difference is I want you to embrace it. I want you to embrace it, and I want you to do the work of conscious redemption. So let's just say, I'm looking here at the callers right now. This is Rosemary's there. So I'm just saying, okay, well, I was a certain way with Rosemary that caused her grief or something of that nature. And I need to do something right now to redeem my actions upon her, with her. I need to let her know that I'm very, very contrite and very honestly sorrowful within a Kundalini context for any hurt or any harm that may have been given to her through any of the actions that I gave. And I'm talking not in a Kundalini context with me and my Kundalini. So, for instance, when I teach people, sometimes they have to learn it a very difficult way. And I cannot and I will not be allowed to apologize for the hard lessons the Kundalini gives. But if it's just from the ego, Chrism's just being a shit to Rosemary, well, then you really need to buckle down and look at what you did and how you did what you did and why you did what you did and how it affected them possibly, and go into redemption with that. And in some way practice that crucible of reversal. If you treated her in a very angry way, then you need to let her know that, hey, this was a mistake, and I need you to know that I am asking for your forgiveness, and I want to bring happiness and beauty and joy and love into your life, and I just need you to know this is how I feel. You're not asking them to forgive you in a way, but you are opening that door. If it should happen, that is great. If it doesn't happen, you still open the door, and it's the opening of the door that allows the redemption to occur. And it's also some of the hardest things to do is to open that door. We're not talking little mouse doors here, depending on what's occurred. It could be this huge drawbridge that you have to open. It's like, the gangplank comes down and the crocodiles on either side, and you're going, oh my God, what did I do? And you got to go in there and you've got to fess up, so to speak. And this allows the redemption to occur. And I want to encourage you, all of you Kundalini people, to really take a hard look at your life and see what your Kundalini brings up as a conscious opportunity for redemption. Did you hurt someone? Did your ego say, oh gosh, I have to do this because my ego doesn't feel happy about what a certain person did to me, so I'm going to do this as revenge for them, or I'm going to do this to balance the slate, eye for an eye, ear for an ear, tooth for a tooth type of thing. And you got to look at how you have created redemption opportunities for yourself. Remember, you're in a classroom and it's okay to do this. The Kundalini, she's sitting up there at her teacher's desk, and she's got an apple on her left, and she's got a pet tiger on her right, and she's got a peacock up on a stand, kind of like cleaning its head with the talons like they do, and maybe every now and again you'll hear a type of, that's from the peacock. And I know that because we used to raise peacocks when I was a kid. Anyway, she's up there and she's looking at you and she's going, "Oh, Chrism, okay, you got to do some more redemptive work, my child. Here, let me help." And boom, all of a sudden you're in a situation where you know who you have to do the redemptive work with. First of all, it's with yourself. Second of all, it may be something that Shakti just brought up for your awareness to be attentive with and to go into that. Do not allow your ego to pull you away. And the ego will pull you away. Ego does not want to admit error. And in many ways, the ego does not want to pull back from its control of the situation. And so you have to really look at that and begin to go, am I going to allow the ego to control this? And the Shakti's sitting up there at her teacher's desk, polishing the apple and going, is he going to allow the ego to control this? Let's see how he's doing. And if it's an important enough level of redemption that needs to occur, well, she's just going to up the stakes. She's going to increase the difficulty. If Chrism is saying, "Oh, I don't know about this. I don't know," the Shaktis are going to go, "Okay, we're going to up the stakes. We're going to add a little more pressure here and there and here and there," and that is going to help him to make some better choices. Boom, she does that, and she does not take away the exercise of you controlling the ego response. She will never do that because that is your job. That is your job. So you have to control the ego, but she'll give you certain pressures that allow you to realize that you need to control your ego. You need to find more love in your heart, more redemption in your heart, more forgiveness, more tolerance, more patience, more self-discipline. These qualities must become second nature to all of you. All of you that are interested or experiencing or exploring or having Kundalini interaction right now upon your 5 bodies, your physical body, mental body, emotional body, psychological body, and spiritual body. You must do these things. And she's watching you. She's watching you from your own eyes because she sees what you see. She feels how you feel. She knows what you know. She's part of every decision you make. Every decision you make, she is part of. So it's very important for people to... What on earth? Oh, I see. Oh, I see. Okay. Somebody's asking me to ask a question. Okay. All right. You gotta love technology. Okay. So she feels what you feel, and I mean that tactilely as well. Like the neurons in your hands, the nerve cells in your fingers, on your skin. She feels you. She is so much more at one with you than you are with her, because the corporeal being is actually quite fragile. It's strong in what it needs to do here on this world, but it is a very, very fragile cup that you are, and it's like a baby plant that is growing in the soil, and it's getting the sun, and it's a very fragile thing, and it can only be introduced to stronger levels of divine information. Information equals frequency. Frequency equals infusion, or infusion of divine prima materia. Boy, this is getting technical. Prima materia being the I'm not using it from the Gnostic or from the Sorcerer's book. Prima materia is heavenly energy. Heaven, or divine energy that is given into a physical expression. Prima materia. And that chalice, or that cup, or that person that you are inside the body can only handle a certain amount of the immense energy of the divine at a specific time. Otherwise, you just blow apart. I mean, you disintegrate, obliterate. And so, interestingly enough, this is what happens. This little side conversation here is that when people use drugs, or they go into a specific activity that allows more of the divine understandings and then more of the divine prima materia to enter into their system, they go crazy. They just mentally explode, obliterate. And that is allowed. That person made a certain choice and is part of a certain karma, and maybe it's not so much for the karma of themselves. Maybe they're just using themselves as a teaching point for those around them not to do that, not to go that way, and so they sacrifice themselves in that way in order to teach. And so you want to be very careful if you're looking at the short path, i.e. the psilocybin path, or the LSD path, or the mescaline path, or the peyote path, or the not so much ayahuasca. Ayahuasca doesn't have that kind of interaction. Ayahuasca is more associated with Kundalini, but some of these other paths, not so much. Syrian rue, or any of the artificial psychotropics. Pharmaceutical grade psychotropics, things of that nature. You want to be very careful with those, because they let in, unless this is something you want to experience, is a complete obliteration of who you are, how you are, what you are, why you are. And one of those obliterative things would be something like Jimson weed, or things of that level that will basically wipe out your mind. Then you basically just wipe it out, and you learn how to talk again. Sometimes you learn how to walk again. And so these people, those of you that are on the short path, be very, very careful, because your body may not be able to handle the level of frequencies that you're pushing towards it. And she just may let you succeed. Sacred Mother may just let you succeed. And boy, is that a difficult success to deal with. Okay. And incurs, more redemption. This is what you did with your body last time. This is how you did it. And this is what came in, and this is what came through. And this is what's going to carry on over to your next expression, blah, and so on and so forth. So it's very important for people to understand that are on the short path that they must be very, very, very careful, conscious, and outside of the fear of loss and the want of gain equation that the ego is constantly measuring itself with, measuring where it wants to go, what it wants to do, fear of loss, want of gain, right? So here we have it. As you allow more divine prima materia into your system, more redemption occurs to increase the level of the physical frequency to be able to accept divine prima materia to exist within you without you obliterating, right? So this is why this process is so, so, so very important. And I'm going to go over to this person here, and he says, "Hi, Chrism. Listening to the radio right now, what you're talking about, redemption, is exactly what I need to do. I became extremely close, and we talked for hours each day, but I did her wrong, and she doesn't talk to me anymore or want to talk to me anymore, like I would still be in the same classes and all, but like she would give me dirty looks, and I want to apologize and tell her I'm not the same person as I was, but I never get a chance. What should I do?" And what you should do is pray to your Shakti for redemption, for the way you treated her. Pray to your Shakti for the redemption for what you did to her. And maybe you can just, one thing that's coming to me with your specific thing is to create a level of goodness in your thoughts and your meditations about her. You don't have to ask permission to give person thoughts of or prayers of love and security and truth and you need to have patience to allow those things to materialize for the individual. You've got to remember that not everybody you interact with has Kundalini in the awakened or activated state that an individual does. And so it's very important for you to leave that to the Shakti. Don't try to give her a 3/4 cup of divine prima materia, mixed in with sea salt and black pepper. It's not your recipe. It's Shakti. Shakti gets to do this. And so you pray to the Shakti to give love and appreciation to whatever degree they can have it and hold it with regards to you and how you treated them, and make sure that you never, ever, ever repeat that mistake. Never, ever again do you repeat those mistakes to anybody else. Now, you may have created karma with this person. That's fine. That's also part of the big classroom that we're in. We create karma and we redeem karma at the same time. And so another thing that you can do that's coming to me right now is to treat other people much better than you currently do, based upon the mistakes that you perceive that you made in treating this one person the way you did. So you allow the self-correction to commit a strong level of permanent change within yourself. Permanent change. And that is a gift. That is a gift that you give to the world based upon your interaction with that person. Okay? So they share in that gift. They share in the creation of the gift that you become based upon your redemptive actions that are based upon the interaction that the two of you had. So there you have it. Okay? Okay. All right. Now let's see here. I'm going to check the chat room here, my friends. Hello. Oh, people got bumped off. I'm sorry. Once again, don't let that discourage you. It's just an imperfect thing. So, so can you hear me here in the chat room as we're an hour into it? I hope you can hear me. I apologize for not checking sooner. Let's see here. Who do we have here? Atlanta Seeker, it's good to see you. So I will just assume that I'm being heard. And Andrew says yes. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much. And yes, I know. I saw that you checked it, but I didn't know myself. So thank you, Santara. Okay, now I had a person that wanted to email me a question, so I'm going to go over here right now, and Could you possibly say something about the relationship between Kundalini itself and Kundalini Yoga? Okay, here we are. And I hope everybody could hear that question. So the question is, what's the relationship to Kundalini Yoga to the actual Kundalini? And it's very little. It's a very small relationship on the one hand, because Kundalini Yoga is just a yoga style that Yogi Bhajan created by copying different styles of other yogas and incorporating them into his idea of what he thought would ignite a Kundalini awakening in a person. And, 90%, 95, maybe 98% of the time it does not occur. And Yogi Bhajan was really more interested in creating a financial business empire, things of that nature. But that's on the mundane side of things. And Yogi Bhajan was not in any way, shape, or form Kundalini awakened. Let's be clear about that. And I know I'll incur the stepping on all these Kundalini yoga toes and whatnot. They'll be throwing their white turbans at me. But truth is truth, and sometimes the truth is painful. However, if Kundalini consciousness itself wants to use these different patterns of yogic practice as a vessel for creating an activation in a person, it will do that. It will do that, and there are some people that do correspond with some of the patterns that Kundalini Yoga presents, and so because their Kundalini wants to respond, and this is a good practice, or this is an opportunity, I should say, for the Kundalini to respond. Boom, then it's been achieved. As in all yogas, the positions, the sutras, and the mudras. The devotion and all of that is conducive, because yoga is, generally speaking, conducive to Kundalini. Even though it's not required, but it is conducive. It does follow the path of kriyas. Kriyas are the spontaneous movements that the body goes through within a Kundalini activation or awakening. And so if you replicate these kriyas, these certain yoga positions that may come to a person, well, then if you do that over and over and over, and you're doing chants with it, you're doing devotion with it, well, then okay. And I don't care if it's Kundalini yoga or Ashtanga yoga or Bhakti yoga or Raja yoga or Vinyasa yoga or, any of these types of yogas will do this for you. Any of them, okay? Not just Kundalini yoga. They just use the word Kundalini kind of as a lure to pull people in who want to have, the power of the Kundalini or the grace of the Kundalini, these types of things. And most of the time, the people that actually have Kundalini and go to these Kundalini yogas or Hatha yoga or any of these types of studios, and they start having, the kriyas, or they start barking, or they start, they get kicked out. The teacher does not want them there. They are just way too distracting, for the rest of the class. And so it's not what you think. It's not what you think. Kundalini yoga has some relationship to Kundalini itself by virtue of all yoga, because Kundalini yoga, once again, takes a little bit from these different styles. And so by itself, no, not much. But with the consciousness of the Shakti using Kundalini yoga or Raja yoga or Bhakti yoga or any of the yogas, then yes, it can be a stimulative practice for Kundalini awakening. And that's, I'm over with that one. Now I'm going to come on over here to Indra. Please prepare yourself, Indra. I haven't pressed the red button yet, but I'm going to right now. Hi, Indra.
Hi, Chrism. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
You have a question?
So you said yes But you spoke about miasma. Did I say it correctly?
Oh, miasma. I like that. Miasma. No, well, you did.
Yes.
but it's not spelled like asthmatic symptoms. It's not like.
How do you spell it?
It's MIAS as in Sam, M as in Mary, A as in Apple. Miasma.
Gotcha. So it's like a type of energy that could be in like a vibration in a community, country, a person within a family.
Actually, the miasma is a frequency of expression, a blended frequency of expression that surrounds an area. Now, yes,
so if
you can have that in a family environment too, like a miasma within a family. So let's just say your family's very strictly religious and you go to temple every day, or it's very, very strict expression of religion. That creates a miasma of those qualities
religion
around the family. Right.
Okay, so the next word you used is it allegor?
Who?
Allegor, ALAGORE. That's what it sounded like.
It's egregore, EGREGORE, egregore.
Okay, and what is that?
That's a character that you see on TV. That it's the brother of Eeyore in Winnie the Pooh. You have Eeyore and egregore.
Right.
Kidding. Okay.
I know you're kidding. I'm like.
An egregore is a thought form creation that's created by many people thinking in a very similar way. And religion,
like-minded people.
Right. And like, say, if you're Catholic, well, then the Catholics create egregore, thought form consciousness based upon the level of belief and how that belief is structured. And the same thing with the Mormons or the Hindu or the Buddhists or the shamanic people. I ran into an egregore the other day. What was that? It creates expectation, creates a formula for pattern recognition.
Right.
It forms almost like what's the Tibetan term? I think it's called a topu or a topa. That people, through their belief and through the energy and the passion of their belief, create this life form.
Right.
It's like abracadabra.
Right.
I create as I speak. I create as I
speak. So one is vibration, the miasma, and the allegor. Well, it's like thought before the action. Egregore.
Egregore, yes. Like egg, and then Gregor. If you name your egg, if you have a pet egg and you name it Gregor, then it's egg Gregor.
Egregore. Okay. I got the spelling. Don't worry. I'm going to practice.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just wanted clarification on that, but I have a question.
Sure.
For the last 3 weeks, I noticed that my energy is like going up and down, but it's like a bounce, like a soccer ball, like a ball that you're bouncing up and down. And there was it's weird. It's like I'm sitting, I'm meditating, or even when I'm standing, I feel like a bouncy ball. It was different, okay? It was so different.
I totally understand what you're saying, and yeah, it's just you're going to have those really wide swings in energetic expression. You'll be that bouncy ball. We'll call that the Indra bouncy ball expression.
But seriously, have you heard of it?
Oh yeah. I mean, bouncy ball, puts a kind of a different spin on it. But yeah, you'll become the sine wave. You become the sine wave. You become the peak in the valley. And if she wants to isolate each expression and experience and tactility of what the sine wave represents, then she will. And obviously, it sounds like she did with you, my dear.
Right. But what does it represent?
Let me see if I can say it a different way. Let's see. It represents the highs and the lows of the frequency of the sine wave. So the peaks and the valleys. The peaks and the valleys.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, I see.
The up and the down. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I got that.
Just really embrace it. And let that do you.
Okay.
It's really part of your beautiful expression, Indra.
Right.
Oh, and also I'm being told for you to explore the meaning of the word Indra, the name Indra.
Isn't it? It's so weird, Chrism. I told somebody yesterday the meaning of Indra isn't Indra the goddess of heavens and rains and thunder?
Yeah, it's another name.
And
for
I'm
Shakti.
actually playing a mantra with the name Indra. It's like an element, the 5 elements, to balance the 5 elements. And I'm actually playing it right now. It's weird how you said that.
Well, that's what I'm told. I just do as I'm told. So, but there's more to it. Don't just go into the Hindu understanding of that quality.
Right.
Go deeper than that. Go deeper than what the scriptures say about Indra.
So you mean within myself and the Kundalini?
Yes.
Okay, what do you get on Indra?
Oh, I get that I'm to tell you to do that work, to go into that exploration.
Okay.
It's not for me. It's not for me to program you with what I think is happening. It's for me to give you the suggestion to allow yourself and your Kundalini to give you specific information around that topic.
Okay, got it.
All right. Thank you.
Got it. Chrism, thank you so much. Honestly, thank you.
In the blue, my dear, you're most welcome. All gratitude to Kundalini.
Okay. I didn't hear that. I lost you.
I said, all gratitude, Kundalini. All gratitude. Thank you, Indra, for calling in. It's always a blessing to hear you and to interact with you on this program. And coming on over here to Tyra. Hi, Tyra. Well.
Hi, I'm here. I'm sorry.
It's quite all right. It's surprising to get called on out of the blue like that.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Doing well, thank you.
So just a quick little note on what the other question about Indra was.
About who? About who?
Indra.
Okay.
Indra is from Hindu mythology. He is considered the king of heaven, or
the queen
he's like
heaven.
a king of the devas. So that's where that comes from, and he's associated with wind.
Yeah. And if you take that, if you look at that translation or that information through the eyes of the Shakti,
mm-hmm.
it opens up a huge book. I'm having this huge book open up in front of me right now, and it relates to a lot of the things that I tell people to do when they have the Kundalini come up. So, for instance, one of the things is that Indra, which is another form of sacred femininity, which is another aspect of the divine Shakti. When the divine Shakti comes into a person and is expressing through a person, all other devis or devas must, all other guidance must step back. Spirit guides must step back. Entities that perhaps had been helping you must step back, and they step back into the radiance of what the Shakti is given that individual. Shakti as Indra, Shakti as an aspect of herself that is particularized as Indra, sacred feminine, shall we say. And Shakti does not correspond, the way I'm using Shakti, or the way that Shakti is using me to talk about itself, is very different than what I think the Hindu ideology of what Shakti is. Is that correct?
Yeah.
The Hindu have a certain ideology of how Shakti is, and she marries with Shiva, and they have this great life together, blah blah blah. The way I see Shakti
is kind of in general referred as the energy that keeps this planet going.
Okay, good.
That's like a top level. Then they have different forms of Shakti, where there is Parvati, there is Durga, there is Kali. Those are like different forms, and
so she's the omnipotent sacred feminine that all other expressions come from. That's the way I see her.
Yes, you are absolutely right.
Okay, that's just the way I've been given to understand it, and so yeah,
it's amazing to me that how much knowledge you have. Have you ever been to India?
No, never been.
Wow, this is very mesmerizing. Okay, by the way, my question was something different.
Okay.
And you tell me what's going on. It's just my wishful thinking, or it is real. So sometimes when I'm sleeping, I can hear my heartbeat in my ear. I hear like some whistling in my ear.
Whistling?
Whistling, and sometimes I can feel my heart pulse in my ear, like when you have pounding.
So is it like whistling this way?
No, it's not like that. It's like a plain
one. That was whistling Dixie, by the way. So that was kind of a joke.
You're trying to trick me, right? Nice try, Chrism. No, it's not like that.
So you hear it? Is it like a wheeze?
Yeah, it's like a long, like constant. The same.
Oh, so it's a constant. It's a constant frequency then.
Yeah.
And you hear that, and that accompanies your heartbeat?
No, the heartbeat, sometimes when the heartbeat happens, and I really hear like my boom, boom, and they are separate times. It happens different. The heartbeat comes usually on the right ear.
The frequency is perhaps is an opening of the na'ad or the nada sounds, and that's something to be embraced. What's going on with the heartbeat now? What's happening there?
The heartbeat usually I hear in the right ear, and the whistling happens in the left ear.
Do they happen at the same time?
It hasn't happened at the same time, not yet, no.
Okay, it's okay to hear your heart rhythm, to hear the sinus rhythm of the heart. That's okay.
Do other people? Do you hear that? Or does this happen to other people? This might be some medical. I mean, I'm just wondering.
I hear and feel it. I hear and feel it. And it's more of a distant thunder for me, or a distant thunder or a distant drum. I mean, there's different analogies one can use for it. But I hear them both all the time. I hear the na'ad and the nada and the heartbeat.
You know how the heart throbs, like boom, 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 boom. That kind of pulsation I hear in that.
I also feel the expansion of the capillaries. I feel the expansion. I mean, it just goes on and on. So I'm not sure that my experience with this will be the same as what you're talking about. But I will suggest that it is a good phenomenon, Tyra, and it is something for you to embrace. There's so many different ways to embrace that, too. You're hearing the heart. She's allowing you to hear the heart. So maybe there's something that has to do with the emotional body that she wants you to hear. She wants you to interact with. She wants you to pursue. Mm-hmm. She wants you to give attention to your heart. One of the things that's coming from me right now with regards to this is your level of strong cardio-based exercise. How is that?
Am I doing it?
Yes.
I'm not doing that much. I just do like a little bit, but not too much cardio.
Then you want to start doing that. You want to start doing that more. Get on that stair step. Better yet, do a little jog walk at 3 a.m. You know, go jogging at 3 in the morning.
Okay.
I know that's not going to happen. I know that's not going to happen. But also just kind of get your heart rate up. Where do you live? You live somewhere in the Northeast, right?
Yeah, I live in New Jersey. Yeah.
Is it snowy there right now?
No, right now today we had a wonderful day. We have
Do you have snow? Do you have snow on the ground?
No, we don't. No.
Okay. All right. So yeah, get out there and breathe some of that air in the morning, especially in the mornings for you, and get the cardio going. Expand the cardio. Okay. That's one of the things that I was told.
Not too much of your time, but when I sleep at nighttime, my meditation room, I feel like somebody's walking in their room, and even if I'm home alone, I sometimes see that I can hear the steps like somebody's walking.
How old is your house? Who was there before you?
There was another family, like 3 daughters, and but I don't think anything bad happened there.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it just, entities sometimes stay. They sometimes stay. I mean, I wouldn't let it bother you. Just, it's just a phenomena that you're able to hear now.
Yeah, and I also feel like sometimes, even during the daytime, I feel like there's somebody here. It's not a shadow. It's not the evil thing.
Yeah.
I feel like somebody just passed. I feel like somebody just passed. I saw something there.
Yeah.
And I turn around and I'm like, yeah.
You will attract interest. All Kundalini people attract. The fact of the matter is your psychic senses are being intensified. So you're able to discern this now, whereas perhaps, 3 years ago you weren't. But now you are. Now your meditations have reached a certain point and your awareness has reached a certain point that you can feel that which is around many, many, many people now that you couldn't feel before. Don't let it frighten you. Don't let it scare you. Don't let it interrupt your meditation. It is part of the big aquarium that we live in here in the blended realities on this, behind the veil planet that we're on.
Oh.
Your senses are starting to take you beyond the veil.
Oh my God, I'm so scared. I'm so scared.
Yeah. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's all good. It's all good.
Thank you so much, Chrism. Thank you
You're
so much.
very, 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 very welcome. And all gratitude goes to the Kundalini. And here we go, putting you in the blue.
Thank you.
And it doesn't look like we have any more questions. However, I'm going to come over here to the chat room here and see if we have anything going. The sound, okay, we've got, maybe it was just on my end, whatever end that is. Let's see, coming over to Santara.
Hi, Chrism.
Scrabbling
Yep.
for. Were you sleeping?
Typing
Okay.
here. No, I'm busy. No, it's really interesting. I've enjoyed it, Chrism. I think redemption is, fabulous
Huge.
topic.
It's huge.
Massive.
I could go on and on and on about redemption. My God, and some redemption. Like say you like 5 years ago you did something to someone, or someone did something to you, and then all of a sudden the Kundalini will bring it up, and it will be brought up as perhaps a blockage, and all of a sudden you can't stop thinking about it. And you're just like, oh my God, they did this to me, or I did this to them, and what do I need to do to find internal redemption for this event? And certain pathways will open up for that to occur, and you can pray for the individual, that perhaps like the gentleman who wrote me the other message there that I read off of Facebook. This woman won't talk to him now, and so you can pray for good things to happen. You can actually make a life change, turn that event into a life-changing event that allows you to walk with holy footsteps, to walk with sacred footsteps that allow the redemption. That would be an activity of redemption. And so, very, very big subject. Mohan has a question, it looks like. So we're gonna.
He has, yes.
Yeah, I didn't notice that before. So let me get to his question real quick, and I'll come right back to you, Santara. And Mr. Mohan, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Master Chrism. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. What's your question? How may I be of service to you today?
Yeah. Last few days, something is happening. Like when I'm meditating, when I'm doing the eyes up and tongue up thing.
Good.
Something is vibrating violently in my heart chakra area. It's like,
that's really good. That's very good.
Yeah, I'm trying to ignore it, but I'm not able to. It's very significant.
Don't ignore it. No. Once again, I think I mentioned this to somebody else. When your heart is vibrating, it's expanding. The Kundalini is working on the expansion of the Anahata. Okay. Are you eating?
No, I'm taking coffee.
Was that the sugar that you put in your coffee?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God! You're drinking coffee and you're putting caffeine into your system as you're talking to me?
No, it's actually chai, not coffee.
Is it black tea?
No, there's milk in it.
Oh Lord. Okay. Go ahead. Get yourself fixed up there, and I'll talk.
Yeah, I'm done. Yeah.
Did you stir it up? Is it stirred?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So your heart is expanding. I would not recommend caffeinated chai for you right now.
Okay.
Seriously. Because your heart is vibrating, and caffeine can make the heart vibrate in a frequency that's different than what the Kundalini wants that frequency to be.
Okay.
Are you at an airport?
No, I'm at a mall. I got my kid to a karate class.
Okay. All right. So your anahata is expanding. The heart is expanding. And you may start crying for no reason. You may be significantly affected by actions of love that you see, that you perceive around you. It's a very, very, very good event.
Oh, okay.
It's a
it
very
happened
good
to
event.
me like a couple of weeks ago. I generally don't cry, but I cried.
You've got to cry. You've got to kind of shut down some of the macho Indian male programming. I am a man. I do not cry. I cannot cry because I am so strong.
Yeah.
You've got to see a strength. Find the strength in crying, because crying is used by the Kundalini as a release of pressure. And the vibration in your heart is going to release levels of pressure. And so you must allow yourself to cry. And I mean cry, I mean sob. Sob. You know what sobbing is?
Yeah.
Let me hear some sobbing. Go ahead. Oh my God. That's kind of sobbing.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
I'm going to have to ask. All right. That was good sobbing. Tara, was that good sobbing?
You unmuted me. It was excellent.
So, man, this is a really important development for you. This is really good. This is a very positive event.
Okay.
Very positive event. Really embrace it. Allow it to increase. And allow yourself to cry with that increase, okay?
Mm-hmm. And one more thing is whenever I'm doing that the meditation, like the muscles in my forehead, like they are like contracting. I can see the pressure. It feels like some of the muscles are going to break out.
That's
and
okay.
With that, it is putting a lot of pressure on my gums on the right side of my right tooth. It's being painful, very painful.
How is that tooth? Is that tooth a healthy tooth?
It was a healthy tooth, but since last few weeks, I'm feeling that pain.
Well,
Only when I do the meditation.
You might want to have that checked out by a dentist, see if there's a cavity forming there or something. Sometimes she uses teeth as a way of self-diagnosis. But the other aspect of this is it's on the right side. Do you know which tooth it is?
Upper side, second or third from the last.
So it's a molar. Okay. So there's an aspect of your sacred masculinity. Oh, I see what it is. You're still struggling with the cultural expectations of what it is to be a man within the Indian culture. You need to become a lot more universal in your thinking. I mean, think about this. I mean, how many people in India right now, men, are inside of a mall in the United States taking their kids to karate class, drinking a cup of chai?
I don't know.
Out of the entire population of the Indus Peninsula of India, how many? Mm-hmm. What would be the percentage of men that are doing that there right now?
Maybe less than 1%.
Very, very, very small. Very small. And this kind of gives you an idea of how she, and plus with the vibration of your heart, if you add that into the equation, she's asking you to expand beyond the parameters of your cultural upbringing, your cultural programming.
Okay. What exactly you mean by the cultural programming?
What the expectations of you are to be. What are you allowed to express? So, for instance, as we were speaking earlier, you mentioned I don't usually cry, but I was crying last week. Well, that is a cultural program. You should be able to cry anytime.
It's not a cultural program. Like, I know men who cry. A lot of them. I have friends. I have family. There are men who cry. It's not that men should not cry.
Do they try not to cry when they're crying?
Yeah, they do.
I don't want you to try not to cry. You see, what the suggestion is that you need to cry on demand of the Shakti. So you can't try to stop it, like the other men that you probably know, which is like, oh my, I don't want to cry, but here it goes. Oh my God! There, boom, they start to cry. For you, you're being pushed outside of the parameters of your societal program, outside of what it is to be a contemporary Indian man. You're being introduced. This is kind of what I was talking about earlier. It's interesting that it's coming that way. You have received a certain level of divine prima materia within the beautiful chalice or cup. I can hear that airplane. That should be coming. And so within that reaction with your body from that prima materia, that divine primal material, an expansion of your heart is occurring. More pressure is being given into your system. More pressure of detoxification, of masculine transformation into a more broad spectrum of what it is to be a masculine expression of Shakti is. Does that make any sense to you?
Yes.
And because that tooth pain on the right side, that is also an expression of sacred masculine. And because it's of the upper quadrant, the upper teeth, that also is dealing with the divine expression of your masculine self within its expansion due to the incursion of divine prima materia upon the physical body that you are.
Okay. and what's it with the along with the contraction of the muscles in the forehead? I feel sometimes suddenly it is filled with liquid. The forehead completely is filled with liquid, and liquid is flowing here and there.
That's wonderful. That's another expression of the divine prima materia coming into your body and feeling that fluid. It'll actually start feeling really, really good. It'll feel really good. Especially as your third eye turns into fluid and as the fluid begins to creep up into the crown, and it'll actually stimulate more fluid coming down from the crown. And
the fluid is running up and down in the crown, in the head, like it's moving very quickly.
There you go. This is really good. This is a very, very positive level of event, and this really illustrates very well the reaction of the divine prima materia having direct effect and insertion of itself inside your body, and what that insertion allows to occur. Okay, and this is not an uncommon event for Kundalini people to have that liquid that it's like liquid love or liquid light going up and down into the crown and down into the rest of the body. And subsequently, I will suggest that it's that liquid light, that is having such a positive effect on the expansion of your heart.
Okay.
As you drink your chai, and you put artificial sugar into your chai, which is loaded with caffeine, and yeah, as your daughter learns how to totally emasculate all the men in her class. As you sit in a mall that you cannot see yet is filled with entities slimy, yucky entities that are all over the place in the mall.
Okay.
It's all good though. It's all good.
Okay.
As I listen to you on broken headphones that Siberian Husky chewed on. I have to get new headphones. Yeah, Mohan, I have to tell you, you're doing very well. You're doing very, very well. And I want you to recognize what it is you're doing that is allowing you to have such a positive phenomena experience occurring to you. What are you doing, my friend?
I stopped doing the 5 to 10s. I'm just doing like the eyes up, tongue up, like most of the time.
What else are you doing?
Apart from that, I'm just what I'm doing. I'm not reacting to anything, anybody. I'm not letting my ego talk. Like even my wife shouts at me. Initially, before the Kundalini thing, I used to shout back and I used to react to her. Now I just I smile at her like, okay. And
well, that's typically that would be a yes dear format there. That could be very healthy for a marriage. What else are you doing?
And every night I'm putting my fingers in the locking posture, and
Good.
consciously before sleeping I put my right hand under my head, and after some time the postures change by itself. Like I don't consciously change. I let the postures go however it wants to go.
What are you doing? What are you doing for Shakti? How are you serving Shakti?
How am I serving Shakti? I'm talking to my Shakti. I'm letting her do whatever she wants to do in my body. I'm acknowledging her, and also I'm for my Shakti. I am working for the Kundalini seminar that is going to happen in Denver.
Okay. All gratitude. You've got to have gratitude for what she's doing with you.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. She just gave me a picture for you. You ready?
Yep.
You need to get 2 glass bowls, and you need to buy them. 2 glass bowls. Clear glass.
Okay. What size? What size?
Any size. Maybe like a cereal bowl. Okay.
Okay.
You need to get some spring water. Water. You need to fill the bowls with spring water, and you need to put them at the foot of your bed, if you can. Even if you have to go under the bed, okay?
Okay.
In the water, you need to float a white carnation or rose on the right side of the bed. If you're laying on the bed, then on the right side as you lay on the bed, and then a red carnation or rose in the left.
What's
carnation or rose?
Is carnation a flower? Like I don't know.
It is. Yes, it's a flower.
Okay.
And it more important than the flower it's the color of the flower. So make sure it is a rose that is blooming. If you're going to use a rose, and that rose will float. That rose will float in the water. So in the glass bowl with the spring water in it, with the red rose on the left side of the foot of the bed, and then the white blooming rose in the water in the glass bowl on the right side of the bed. Okay?
Okay.
And you leave that there for 3 days, and then you dispose of the water by giving the water to a plant somewhere around you, like the lawn,
Okay.
or a bush or a tree or something of that nature.
Okay.
And this is a very Hindu thing, by the way.
I don't know.
If you go into a Hindu temple and you look at, say, Ganesh, well, you'll see people floating red flowers on the left side and white flowers on the right side.
Yeah, I remember people floating flowers, but I didn't really notice which color was in which side.
Yeah. The white is for the sperm of the sacred masculine, and the red is for the menstruation of the sacred feminine.
Okay.
Just FYI.
Okay. What kind of effect that will have on other people in the family if I do that on my bed?
Good. It'll have it's a message of gratitude and recognition of Shakti and Shiva. It'll have very positive effects on other people.
Okay.
And furthermore, I believe Rosemary's working with you on this, right?
Yes.
So thanks and gratitude to her Shakti and Shiva in her assistance, Rosemary, online here. Hello, Rosemary. Hi, Rosemary.
Hi. Guys, the sound is really bad, Chrism.
Yes,
we need
it is.
to put Mohan in the blue.
Mohan, I'm in the blue, okay?
Okay.
There we go. Hi, Rosemary.
Hi. I was hoping he'd have the opportunity to tell you the progress that we're making.
Well, please do.
Yes. Well, he just called me this afternoon and has found there's a hotel like down the street. He said it was new and looked at it and all the things that are there. I think it's a go.
Well, then,
we've been looking and talking to bunches of people.
Okay. Right.
And so this looks like, and they're new. They don't have all their artwork up, they said yet, but we don't care about that. And places to walk to for lunch and supper.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Well,
yes.
I just want to extend a real level of gratitude to both Mohan and you for doing this hard work for the sake of Shakti. It's fun. It's interesting. Mohan was telling me, he does things that my Shakti forced me to do too, like putting my hands in Gyan Mudra as I go to sleep, and I'm turning to lie down on the right side of the body and keeping the fingers locked and the chin slightly down. And I'm going to suggest that for you as well, Rosemary. Really expressing gratitude for the gift of grace that you have. And Mohan, my friend, you are doing really, really well with this. The liquid light is a definite Kundalini phenomena. Do the flower bowls. Rosemary, I can also suggest that you do the flower bowls as well. Being familiar with the setup in your house, it will work perfectly with how you have your bed situated in your room. Mm-hmm. So remember, it's a glass bowl, and it needs to be new. You can't have used it for anything else. And this is the only thing that you will use it for.
You're saying glass, see through it, clear glass, or just glass material?
Clear glass.
Clear. Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And then you fill it with spring water, maybe about 3/4 of the way full. And you have two of the bowls, and the red bowl with the red rose, blooming rose, so that it floats, is on the left side, and then the white rose is on the right side. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I'll suggest that anybody can do this, and I'll suggest it for the audience as well. That includes for you guys in the archives coming through later on. This is a very, God, I haven't suggested this for years. For years. I don't even think I brought it up in the last 10 seminars that I've done. And she just whipped that out of the past and brought it right into the present. And she did it with Mohan because of the kind of experiences he's having. Very, very positive experience. Rosemary, you are also an arbiter of grace. You really are doing wonderful, wonderful things for the populations at large in order to bring this level of Kundalini to them. And I just got to say that the Kundalini in me is, I'm starting to get bliss and feel that coming on. The Kundalini in me is very, very happy with the work that you're doing, very grateful for the service that you're providing for people coming through. You need to know this. You need to know it, and you need to know that gratitude from grace for you as you do this service for many, many, many people beginning to come into the Kundalini or wanting to come in to the ultimate truth of grace. So on behalf of myself and my Shakti and the Shakti that runs through all of us, it's appreciated what you're doing.
Thank you. That's a blessing as you speak.
Well,
I feel that.
Yeah, that's a strong blessing. Blessing. So thank you, my dear. And I will go with whatever you and Mohan decide, okay?
But
yes.
We want to announce that we are that far, and so it is April 28th and 29th in Denver, and we will have more details next week, and lots of things probably going on in the area down there too, over there west of us. And I know there are 3 of us from Minnesota that are coming.
Oh, well, absolutely. Wonderful, wonderful news. Let's go ahead and announce that on all the groups. Yahoo group.
Yes.
Okay. All right, my dear. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bring it on over to Santara here, who's been patiently waiting. Hi.
Hi, Chrism. I remember that carnation red and white thing from many, many years ago.
How long ago was that? Is that like 5 years ago?
Oh my gosh, it might be longer. Actually,
you remember?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember going into an Indian temple in the Los Angeles area, and having had that instruction, I had been told to give that instruction to an individual of the Hindu faith, and I'd never heard of it before. And I went into this Indian temple, and I said, "Oh my gosh, first of all, they've got all the highly reflective little mirrors and artwork, on the statues, because it represents how things are seen in the astral or in the divine area, and that's true." And then I saw those clear balls with the red and the white. It was very cool to see. It just kind of it allowed me to understand that she has no barriers on the knowledge of different religions at all. She'll give you instruction whether or not you know the religion. She knows the religion. It could be Muslim, it could be Taoism, it could be Catholicism. It doesn't matter. She knows.
Yeah, true. Can I mention about the seminar in Germany then?
Absolutamente.
Okay. Well, Manish is the host for that seminar that's happening in Germany, and it's happening the following month. It's going to be on May the 26th and May the 27th. So it's happening in Karlsruhe in Germany. And just to let you know, this is about an hour from Frankfurt International Airport or Stuttgart International Airport, or indeed if you're flying from Europe, you would fly into. And it's a small enough seminar. I think she's going to have some restrictions on it because of where it's going to be. And already it's really full. There's something like 13 people now booked in. So if you're coming, contact Manisha fairly quickly because it's filling up fast. So Manisha can be found on Facebook, Manisha Manish, or you can also go to, on a Facebook page, Kundalini Seminars and Events with Chrism, and you'll get the information there, or indeed it's also on the Facebook groups that Chrism has. And Manisha's email address, actually I won't give that because it's too complicated.
No,
find
please give
her
it
on
to
Facebook.
us. You can do it. You can do it. Come on.
Oh gosh, I hate spelling these things out. Okay, so it is LENEOERGARD@posteo.de. POSTEO is Posteo. But really find her on Facebook, and that's the most efficient way of getting her, I feel. So that's May 26 and 27. Chrism is coming to Europe. So contact Manisha if you'd like to be there.
Wonderful, wonderful.
What?
I just let's see. There's a question on the chat room that I want to respond to, and this is from Bo. Bo says, he said, I was watching TV and my consciousness separated from my physical body. First time this happened, and I was a bit frightened and asked to go back into my body. That was a week ago, and it just happened again while reading yesterday. My gosh. And these are out-of-body experiences, Bo. These are natural. These are good. There's a lot of information there. Just ask your Shakti to be with you as you separate, and all will go well, my friend. All will go well. And the fact that you've begun to see male and female in the same person, yes, this is also quite true. You'll be able to discern sacred masculine and sacred feminine features in the face of the one person you're looking at. And so this is a very normal thing. These are phenomena that are definitely of a Kundalini nature, and they're all good, Bo. They are all good. And when you feel yourself separating, just say, my Shakti, I am with you, and please be with me as I go on this journey. And it will be a journey out of the body, and it's a perfectly good. Nothing wrong with it. This is orchestrated by the Kundalini, my friend. No worries. And Andrew says, regarding Denver, we better have a noodle restaurant, which I heartily agree. Organic noodles. All right. So yeah, you're welcome, Bo. And you have questions that you've collected, Santara?
I do, Chrism. I have two from last week, though, that I'd like to ask you.
Okay, all right.
The first one is, does soul have consciousness after death?
Yes.
Okay.
Over.
And the second one?
Definitely,
is there such a thing as collective karma of a nation?
Yes. Italy has collective karma, and like, say, the Romans. I mean, some of the Roman karma is still being felt by the Italian populations. Germany has collective karma from the 14th century and all the way up into World War I, World War II. That karma is still being felt. And Vince, everybody, I don't know if everybody remembers Vincent, the gentleman that's having, real problems with entities. Well, that's from World War II. And he's not the only one that is learning through karmic redemption, what must occur. But an entire population of people. one of the populations would be the Croatians right now. They are getting there. A stage is being set for them in a future time to receive the redemption of some of their actions as well. So it's and all countries, all populations go through this. Nobody's being Let's look at Scandinavia and the Vikings, shall we? And they created karma through their extraordinary warlike type of activities, but not so much now. I mean, they've kind of gone through that karma, but the population. But you got to remember, it's the population that's alive at the time. So, talking about Germany, that population would be reborn as perhaps Jewish people. Okay, and the qualities of the population at that time incarnating into the Jewish would have been a reflection on who they were against, at that time, and or they would be incarnated into the Palestinians that are being subjected to shall we say, a brutal treatment, and this would be used as a form of redemption as well. Over.
So from the group this week, has anyone gone through the dizzy stage? I woke up today and the whole room was spinning and been feeling nauseous as well. It just knocked me right out, been sleeping all day and very tired. Is this a one-day event or does it go on for longer?
Well, it depends on how many pints that you had before you hit the floor.
You're really full of comedy today.
Sorry. I just remembered when I was 16, okay. I had one beer, which would be less than a pint, and I had the spins all night. So it was, yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's normal. That is normal. What's happening is the Kundalini is working on the inner ear. There's a little level of fluid there that is connected to sensory inputs, and that when the Kundalini begins to work on that fluidic balance within the individual of the inner ear on both sides, you begin to spin. Typically, you spin to the right, though, but it may be hard to stand. It may be hard to stand, and you may want to be on the floor, and to really allow yourself to have that restful time. Go straight to bed. Allow that work to be done. Nothing is wrong. Nothing is wrong. Over.
Thanks, Chrism. The next question is, I'm feeling close-up faces of people I don't know when I close my eyes. Not all the time, but when it happens, I feel frightened. What should I do, please?
Just be the observer. Let them come, let them go. You'll see them. They'll fade in for about a second or two, and then they'll fade out. And it may not just be human faces too. You may see faces of animals. You may see faces of what you would call aliens. Faces of other people. Typically nobody that you know from a conscious level. But as your Kundalini comes to you, you attract quite a bit of interest, and this interest, as your Kundalini expands you beyond the perimeter of the veil, shall we say, the veil that separates 5 sense humanity from 1,000 sense humanity, i.e., your psychic abilities are being expanded. You will see these faces, and just don't be afraid of them at all. Don't communicate with them. Just observe. And even if the face is frightening to you, like the face of a tiger or the face of a monster of some sort, it's just another creation. Nothing to respond to, nothing to buy into as far as being frightened or fearful. And the same thing if it's joyful. still be in a neutral position. Just stay in neutrality and observe as they go by. Over.
Thanks, Chrism. So, in addition to practicing the safeties, any advice for adrenal fatigue? I haven't had a big spinal sweep, but I've had smaller ones that move up and down my head and my neck when meditating. Is this normal?
Just don't mix in the chai with the artificial sugar as your kids are at the karate class.
Okay, well, what about the adrenal fatigue?
The adrenal fatigue, you definitely want to stay hydrated. You definitely want to coconut water, coconut milk, or watermelon if you're in a part of the world where that is growing right now. You definitely want to keep your electrolytes in a good, safe position, staying well hydrated. Stay away from the hot spices. Stay away from being over sugared. Keep down the sugar. If you're going to have sugar, try to make it to be natural honey and not a lot of it, or natural maple. You can use the natural maple syrup if it's organic and doesn't have anything else in it. You can use that as well. Try to keep your food really, really bland. Bland food. So you're not using a lot of salad dressing. You're eating your salad without salad dressing. If you do want to put something on it, put some lemon on it. But don't put vinegar on it. Okay? Don't put vinegar and oil on it. Just, spritz a lemon over it or a citrus of some sort. And eat, you're really doing your best to detoxify levels of accrued habitual spicing and sugar and any of the hydrogenated, brominated vegetable oils, things of that nature. Anything that's going to bring out, like say, hot peppers will bring out more of the adrenals, stressing the adrenals out. You don't want to do that. You want to let the adrenals relax. And so you don't eat any kind of food that is going to have an adrenaline response. Okay. So practice that as far as adrenal burnout. Don't go into back off of the 5 Tibetans too, if you can. If you're doing all 21, back them down to 9. And if you still find yourself really, really tired, don't do the 5 Tibetans for a little bit of time. If you're getting into passionate prayer, back off of the passionate prayer. You can still meditate, however, even though that is energetically generative. You can still meditate and basically take it easy. I'm being shown that some visualizations will help. Like if you have a Sri Yantra, you can stare at the Sri Yantra and say your mantra to the Sri Yantra. Okay. Over. I'm getting short on time here, so I'm ending them sooner than I normally would.
Okay. If entity left, will it return back to me like an upgraded version?
It could if you've upgraded that which is attractive to the entity. So if you're upgrading your resistance to Kundalini, well, then you can attract an upgraded entity.
Over. So, Chrism, you said you made a quote there recently, and it was, "Climb the fountainhead of grace while breathing the inner flames of suspended egocentrism." Could you say a little bit more about that?
From the fountainhead of
or
grace.
Or is it too late? Actually, will I hold that till next week?
No, go ahead. Read it to me again.
Okay. Climb the fountainhead of grace while breathing the inner flames of suspended egocentrism.
Okay, yeah, that's climbing your Kundalini mountain or climbing into the fountain, so to speak, climbing up the fountain. And as you climb up a fountain, the water is washing over your face. It's washing over your body. You're being constantly fed by a waterfall of grace. And as you do that, as you walk through your life with this fountain of grace going over and around you, you suspend your egocentrism. You suspend the control of the ego over your feelings, your actions, your understandings. You really let the waters of grace flow down over you, and you suspend your control of your life, of your emotions, of your psychology and your spirituality. You suspend the egocentrism of control. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. What is the nada or naad?
I'm resisting a joke here. Okay, I just want you to know.
Oh, don't. Go on.
I'm resisting a joke.
Maybe resist.
Yeah. It's the frequencies that a person can hear that are beyond the normal range of hearing. It's the frequencies that open up within the Kundalini that allow you to hear galactic or cosmological frequencies of sound, of creation. It can be very, very beautiful. It can defy organization. It can defy the mental need to organize it into a certain thing. Over.
Thank you, Chrism. From reading on the web and some advice of other people, it has been suggested that when someone is awakening, they should learn tantric practices. Is this true?
No. But some people will be drawn to learn the tantric practices. They'll be drawn by their Kundalini to keep the fluid in or to let the fluid go, male or female, to have the orgasm or not to have the orgasm. When I'm teaching Tantra, which I try not to do these days because it always gets me in trouble, and it's only because of the level of knowledge that the population I'm teaching has typically. I try to bring people to the lip of an orgasm and then to back it down, and then to live their life from the lip of an orgasm with the Kundalini. Over.
And the second part really was, how would you go about finding a teacher, and what about personal held religious beliefs that would make Tantra not seem to mesh with those beliefs?
Well, we'll have to save that one for next week.
Okay.
It's going to take me more than 60 seconds.
Okay.
Any last words, my dear?
No, Chrism, I haven't.
Right. Well, I'd like to thank everybody who is listening on Facebook, listening in the archives, listening on the chat room. Thank you, everybody, for coming today. And I look forward to coming and having another wonderful conversation through the Kundalini with you next week. Thank you, Shantara Kundalini, for providing this outlet and this pavilion of teaching about the Kundalini. And I will end it the way it was started today. Here we go.